open learning lesson, if you will, from our very own Dr. Reverend Brian A. Moore, who is the Executive Director of Passages, one of the programs underneath the umbrella of the Fatherhood Initiative. And we also have Abdullah Malik, who is one of the program managers and classroom instructors. And both of them are here today on this special edition of Wake Up and Live with the Arts. And we are delighted to finally have a chance to chat with both of them, specifically about their program and about our program called A New You for a New Life. This is our, actually I should say Lester Bryant's and my community service project from Wake Up and Live with the Arts, where we work with different neighborhood organizations such as Passages and Rising Above of the Fatherhood Initiative, as well as other programs such as Y Haven, Dress for Success, Mount Pleasant's Thea Bowman Center Youth Program, and Murtis Taylor's Youth Program. Did I leave anybody out? I hope not. But anyway, welcome to Wake Up and Live with the Arts, and you gave us a very good insight as to what your program is all about. Why is your program called Passages?
Well, we want to interact with people along various passages in their life. We recognize that life is a winding road, and at different times you need different things. And so passages exist to interact with people as they seek employment, or they're trying to reconnect with their families, or they're overcoming other barriers in their life. So it's a continuous passage. We hope that it never ends.
And it's a journey along the way.
Absolutely.
And Malik, you are integral to the men, and this program services men only?
Yes, it serves fathers, yes.
Serves fathers. Give us the demographic as the classroom instructor, program manager. What are the demographics for the typical, or the profile, if you will, of the fellows you service?
It ranges from a wide variety of fathers who are unemployed, who may have some child support issues, who may have some homeless issues, a lot of different issues that we help these individuals try to overcome. Our primary focus is to help fathers obtain employment, and we work, and to be an effective parent, an effective father in their children's lives.
Hence, being under the Fatherhood Initiative program, founded by Peter Lawson Jones and the big time director Al Grimes, and you're going to have to leave shortly to meet with Al.
Go to one of his meetings.
Okay,
Absolutely.
tell him I said hey.
I shall. Thank you.
Now tell me a little bit, Reverend Brian, how did you get involved with this type of community service organization?
More than for 25 years or more, I have been working in the space of helping dads involve themselves in the lives of their children. And I recognized that probably a decade or so ago that there were no programs that were founded specifically to meet all the needs that a dad would present with. And so we founded Passages Connecting Fathers and Families. We did that a decade ago because we recognized that dads really wanted to be involved in the lives of their children. They just needed some help.
Yes.
They needed a support system. So all the dads that come into our program, one thing we tell them, number one, is that we're in the supporting cast. We're in the supporting cast. You're in the lead, we're in the supporting cast. And we're going to provide whatever additional services that you need. But you have to lead yourself out of this situation. We're there to support you, help you with workforce development skills, help you with parenting skills, life skills, overcoming the other barriers in your life. But you have to want it more than we do. Just even 51% will be 49% part of your cast.
Now, your background, is it what got you interested in this kind of thing? Are you a trained social worker? I know you, do you have a church? Because you are Reverend Dr. Brian A. Moore.
Well, I retired from ministry about a decade ago. I was a pastor. I've done all of those types of things. But I also served as a prison chaplain at Grafton Honor Fund. And that was a particularly enlightening environment, because one of the things that I learned readily was that there were so many individuals families that were being broken up by the incarceration experience. Those broken families did not have the ability to heal by themselves, did not have the ability to extricate themselves from the holes that they found themselves in. So they needed some help. And our program was there, or at least I created the program. Pleased to say I was the founder of Passages. And we established the program because we really wanted to believe that the best generations were yet to come, but we had to invest in them.
Of course. Now, before you have to take off shortly, tell me, and then we'll be spending most of our time talking with my dear friend Malik. Tell me a little bit about, there's a documentary, Fatherhood Initiative, the umbrella program, received some very special funding,
Yes.
and I had to say, you guys are getting a lot of attention because you just had, while we were doing our project, you had WCPN coming in
We did.
to take a look at your program. Was that part of the documentary? Or
No,
was that
not at
totally
all.
separate?
That was totally separate. The Plain Dealer, WCPN, and a couple of other media entities have been contacting us because there's renewed interest.
Yes.
Renewed interest of the importance of fatherhood. Not just about Passages, not about our program, but fatherhood in general.
In general.
How individuals are lifting themselves out, because the pendulum for so many generations swung in the wrong direction, where fathers were fleeing homes as opposed to stepping up to the plate and saying, I want to be a responsible dad. I want to parent my child. I really want my child to have a brighter future than I have had. And so we have seen the fathers that come to our programs and other similar programs that are part of the Cuyahoga Fatherhood Initiative come because they are stepping up to the plate. These are really the future heroes of our community because they recognize that they need some work. They recognize they've taken inventory of themselves and they're not happy at the end product. And so they're saying, are there programs that will help me become effective, help me become engaged in the life of my child? I need a job so I can financially support my child. I need to be involved in my child's education. So how do I do that? I need to know how to deal with conflict resolution so that I can be a role model to my child. And so they're stepping up to the plate, and those are really the heroes in our program. We have the unique opportunity to interact with them. I really say it's a profound honor to be able to work with these individuals who see brighter futures for themselves and future generations.
Oh, that sounds marvelous. Makes me want to join the program. Yes, because unlike, until recently, until programs like Passages, Rising Above, the Fatherhood Initiative, until recently there weren't, the emphasis was on women's talk shows, women's books, things to help women be better at being female.
Sure.
And there wasn't as much devoted to the fatherhood situation. And I work with the Upward Bound program in our Cleveland Metropolitan School District.
Sure.
At Tri-C Metro. And one of the things I try to work with as best as possible is begin to instill in my 16, 17, 8-year-old men about responsibility and girls. Girls still have problems listening to men's stuff, the
Sure.
okey doke. So
Right.
from what little contribution I can make, to let them know that this is a big responsibility, fatherhood. It's not just hanging out with a chick overnight and there you go.
Well, that's how we kind of got into this periodically, situations where the people are not really cognizant of the responsibility of fatherhood. You can't just be a sperm donor.
Yes.
A sperm donor is not someone that is going to be there after the child is born. But these fathers recognizing, and remember the pendulum, and I said this earlier, is that so many social policies during the 50s, 60s, and 70s drove fathers out of the household.
home.
Okay, because social workers would go into the home, see if there was evidence of a father presence. If there were, that family would lose their public
benefits,
assistance.
their money. Yes.
Fathers then got this clear message: my presence is a detriment to my family. And so we're living that bad social policy today, but it's going in the right direction. We're beginning to make incremental steps in the right direction, where the fathers are saying, I want to be involved with my child's life. I want to parent my child. Because they recognize that the best thing that they will ever do is be a dad.
You got that right, and contribute to their children's lives and the future generations, as you say. Now, I just got the time signal from Lester that you're off to important things in your life, going to meet with the Fatherhood Initiative group.
Sure.
So before you leave, though, if somebody is interested in finding out more about your program or wants to refer someone to your program, how do people contact you? What must they do in order to connect with Passages?
Here's what I like them to do. If it's a mom who has a son that she wants to contact our program, I want him to do one thing. I want him to pick up the telephone and call, because that's the beginning of his responsibility, taking ownership of his own life. I want him to call 216-881-6776. You know who he's going to find?
And you can deliver that right to the
All
camera.
right, he can call 216-881-6776. He's not going to get a voicemail. He's going to get a live individual who is going to help him along the path of success.
And a website where people can learn about what Passages is all about, this
Sure.
comprehensive programming.
Sure, it's www.passages, passages-oh.org. Again, passages, passages-oh.org.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll have that on the screen, so that people can see it
Sure.
easily. Well, I'm so glad we got
Thank
a
you
chance to
so
finally
much.
sit down with you, number
It's been my
one,
pleasure.
and that you've allowed us to continue our New You for a New Life project as part of your overall services here.
It's an important part. In fact, it's the part that people look forward to every session. They
Okay.
look forward to interacting with Sue Johnson and your great work. And we're honored that you have chosen our program to work with.
Well,
And
thank you
so much.
Thank you. It's been a good working team we've got going here.
Absolutely.
Now, go take off.
Okay.
Now, you are finally called Malik.
Yes.
So now you and I shall chat for a few minutes since Dr. Moore had to take off for sort of
Absolutely.
parts known.
Sure.
All right. Now, you heard me ask him how he got involved in this type of program. What brought you to Passages or this type of work?
Interesting. What brought me to this type of work? Well, I first met Dr. Moore some years back. I was a troubled child. I am from Camden, New Jersey, and I had journeyed here to Cleveland, Ohio. Got in a bit of trouble and landed in a halfway house where Dr. Moore was doing a programming. And
Was that in Camden or
actually, that was here in Cleveland.
You got here by that time.
Yes. And he gave me his card. I seen him the program. He's made sense on some of the things that he was doing and some of the things that I heard in his speeches. And I took his card, and when I was released from the halfway house, I gave him a call, and he arranged for me to come to one of his programs that he was doing at the time. And from there, he offered me a job as a driver for the transportation company that he had at the time. And from there, I was able to get a lot of training in various different curriculums. And from there, I was put in the role of manager for the company. And from there, I became an instructor. And as an instructor, I I was able to relate to some of the guys that we have in the program, some of the trouble that I've been through in my times and in my life, and how I was able to overcome those events, those troubled events, and become a law-abiding citizen and have a positive outlook in my sons and in my family's life. And from there, I'm able to relate to the guys in the program.
So you are a testimonial
Yes,
that
ma'am.
folks who start out with shaky backgrounds and not so stellar backgrounds
Sure.
certainly are able to rebuild, recreate, and become, as our program is called, a new you for a new life.
Yes.
So how long ago did this journey start from where you started as a troubled youth all the way to where you are today?
Well, at the time I came to Cleveland, I was about 18 years old. I got into a bit of trouble when I was around 19.
Okay.
And
So you were clearly an adult at that time.
Yes. And so it's been about a good 15 to 20 years ago.
So, and it hasn't been easy the whole time.
Absolutely not.
And this is what your program works with the men to encourage them,
Yes.
recognize and let them know that this journey is not a piece of a cakewalk, as the expression
No, ma'am.
goes, that they are going to encounter challenges, obstacles that will help them, hopefully help them overcome whatever their individual backgrounds are.
Sure.
Now, in your program, yours is a 4-week program, and normally about how many men do you service?
Well,
About every 4-week program.
Well, we have about approximately 14 to 15 people, fathers, in each session.
Mm-hmm.
And so we deal with every 4 weeks. We have about 15 to 20 gentlemen in the class.
Enrolled in the classes.
Enrolled in the program.
Mhm.
Yes.
And how's your attendance rate, your success rate? There was a gentleman here in our session
Sure.
who was one of your success stories
Sure.
from, only 7 or 8 months ago.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about, you don't necessarily have to name him if you don't want to, but that gentleman, how did he come as a success story to your program? How did he make his journey? What kinds of things did he go through and transition into? As he was wearing his dapper suit and tie today, he was, as they used to say, very fly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of individuals who come in and they don't have, they have felonies on their record.
Yes.
We have a lot of people who just do not know how to dress, I would say dress for success, or how to dress for an interview. So we get a lot of individuals who come in t-shirts and jeans and everything like that. And what I pretty much do is I'll talk to the gentleman and tell them or show them the way on how to dress for an interview, how to speak in an interview, how to interact in an interview, your demeanor. And this particular gentleman, he was a troubled individual. He had he had a felony. He also had some child support issues. He basically came in because he had a friend of his who told him about our program and who went through our program and also completed the program, successfully completed the program, and is employed. So he told this individual, Mr. Alan Huff is his name, and he came, he called us, we invited them in, we had a one-on-one sit down, made him feel comfortable, I presume, and he was able to tell me his story. And I told him about about my story, so we sort of relate
On that level.
on that level, and he wanted to join the program. So he completed the program. He completed the 4 weeks. We were able to help him get a job. As I often tell the guys, I do not personally get you a job because I cannot sit in the interview. You have to sit in the interview, but to use the information that I presented to these individuals, and he used the information and he practiced. He used the information and was able to get himself employed. He is now paying his child support. He is now he's married, and also he's taking care of a beautiful family. So he came in today, wanted to share some of his stories with the individuals who was here. But he's a great guy.
He's a great testimonial. And one of the aspects that we were doing with our workshop series here at Passages, we did not get a chance in our pretend interview session to address this issue of having a felony on your application. You don't put it on your resume, but on your application when you are asked. And I think fellows need to have some reassurance about they can rebuild, and you teach them ways on how to navigate through the interview process when that issue of the felony gets raised.
Yes.
Can you give us an example of how, for reluctant fellows that want to be in the program, but they say, I got a felony, I don't, no matter what the degree of the felony was or is.
Sure.
but how do you help them or teach them about how to navigate around that, quote, black mark on their life?
Sure. Well, a lot of excuse me, a lot of guys believe, or a lot of people who have felonies believe that they will not get hired or get an interview because they have a felony. So they would lie on the application. They wouldn't put that they had a felony on the application, or they would just simply say no and think that the employer is going to hire them, only to know that only not to know that employers do background checks.
Exactly.
You see? And now that this individual is considered a liar or untrustworthy because he lied on his application. So what I basically do is tell the gentleman to be honest and be truthful, because if you was to get hired in a position and you work there, let's say 6 months, and this particular company wants to do a review of their records, and then they do background checks on the individuals that work there, and they find out that you have a felony, they will bring you in their office and you will be dismissed. And sometimes you may have some issues where the school, you may need school clothes for your child, mm-hmm. or you have rent that's due, and now that you lied on your application and they found out that you lied, you're dismissed, and you're started back, and these guys are back to square one. Mm-hmm. So I basically tell them, to be honest, and one of the things that I tell people, and I tell the guys in our program, is that the individual that you're interviewing with is a human being. They have a brain, they have a heart. So what you want to do is, when answering that question, is appeal to the individual's intellect and appeal to the individual heart. Simply because we don't interview with robots. If you was to interview with the robot, you would just program the robot to have one specific response. So when the guys talk about their felony in an interview, or the interviewer brings up, I see you have a felony on your record, could you please explain? I pretty much tell the gentleman to not lie to the individual, but to be honest to them, show remorse, and tell them about all the positive things that you've achieved since that time.
And then sometimes your employer, the interviewer, the employer, mm-hmm. It helps the fellows to understand about, they have the felony. Sometimes it depends on the type of felony,
sure.
the degree of felony, how long ago it was committed.
Sure.
And sometimes it doesn't always mean you will be excluded from being considered for a position in certain types of jobs. Yes, there may be some positions where they would be excluded, but
absolutely.
And that would help build their confidence, that if they learn from your program, mm-hmm. that a felony doesn't automatically prevent them
absolutely.
From getting hired, mm-hmm. because that defeats the purpose of the program.
Sure.
That certainly defeats their morale, mm-hmm. and perhaps it causes or helps create recidivism, mm-hmm. because they get so discouraged because they can't make any forward progress, so they
sure.
go back in the streets or do something in desperation, mm-hmm. and your program tries to prevent that from happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have guys. We try to help them out. Try
mm-hmm.
to help them navigate through life and navigate through those troubled issues that they're dealing with. There are lots of people who have, I use a colorful background. I don't like to say the word felony or anything like mm-hmm. that. I use, who have a colorful background that are working.
Yes.
And they're different, even though a person who has a company, who's a company of their own, say like Schwabel's Bread or Pierre's Ice Cream, or individuals like that who may say that our policy is not to hire felons. The city and the state and some parts of the federal government, they hire felons, depending on the nature of the felon also. But they don't have to. They don't actually. They don't put that on the application if the individual has a felon. They don't discriminate against that.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I help the gentlemen out there. I help the guys and our fathers and our dads that are in our program to be at ease when answering that question, even though it's a difficult question to answer.
Of course.
But you want to always maintain eye contact and be sincere and be remorseful.
And show how you've made changes since
Exactly.
whenever that previously occurred.
Absolutely.
Now, like with Dr. Moore, we certainly are getting the wrap signal again because
Sure.
time goes very quickly.
Okay.
One last quick question.
Sure.
Yours is a 4-week program, so it doesn't require a whole lot of time commitment. You get the guys, the fellas, the gentlemen up on their feet, ready to roll in the real world pretty soon in a 4-week turnaround period. And how many hours a day? Do they come every day for a certain number of hours?
Yes, the classes are from 10 to 2. It's a 4-week program, and they are here Monday through Friday.
Okay, and then in 4 weeks they've learned enough to at least go out in the streets and get started, and then you serve as a resource once they're out there,
Yes.
so they're not just, like foster children, aged out into the system with no support.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
just they get the information, and we just say, okay, guys, go use the information. We basically help them find employment. We have a job coordinator by the name of Jeremy Langham. He works extensively with our fathers. He helps them create resumes. He builds, create resumes for them, and he gives them job leads. And we one thing about Passages that that's important, I must say, is that we never close cases. We do not close any cases. So if some people or some individuals or some of our fathers, we know that it may take a while for them to get employed due to whatever their situation is regarding their education or things of that nature. So we work with a lot of different agencies. Say if they have some GED issues, we help them obtain a GED. And other different issues regarding child support, we help them navigate. We have people that we work with to help these individuals get information on how to navigate the child support system. So once they complete the program, they will meet with our job coordinator. We will work with them to create a resume, and we will send them to various different places who may wish to hire this individual based on their skills.
Sounds excellent. And certainly, like with Dr. Moore, if you are interested in this program, a 4-week quick turnaround program that is so comprehensive that at the end of the 4 weeks you can certainly, you'll be positioned to go out and start interviewing, seeking employment, and perhaps get hired. So to remind you again, for information, call 216-881-6776. And you can ask for Malik, as he is affectionately known, or Reverend Moore,
Yes.
to get further information. And we're Sue Johnson and Lester Bryant from Wake Up and Live's Actors Studio, and we've been talking to Brian Moore and Abdullah Malik about Passages. And certainly we hope that you've learned a lot. You can always reach us at wakeup4664@aol.com. if we can be a resource to help you connect with Passages ourselves. So with that, thanks for watching this edition, this special edition, and we'll see you soon at Wake Up and Live with the Arts.